The mop bucket hit the wall so hard it cracked the plaster. Water sprayed across the hallway floor. Dirty gray water that smelled like pine sol and 25 years of showing up before the sun. The janitor stood there, 61 years old, gray hair, worn hands, a name tag on his chest that said Kobe. He had been wearing that name tag since before half the people in this building were born, and now a man in a $3,000 suit was standing over him, pointing at the elevator like he was directing traffic. "Pick up your things and get out," the CEO said, loud enough for the whole floor to hear. "Security will walk you to the door." Kobe didn't move. He looked at the bucket on its side, the water creeping across the polished floor he had polished every morning for 25 years, and his mop was leaning against the wall where it had fallen. "Mr. Harmon," Kobe said quietly, "I've worked here since. I know how long you've worked here. That's the problem. You're a line item that should have been erased 15 years ago. This company doesn't pay people to push mops. We pay people to produce." The entire 12th floor was silent. 53 employees, every one of them frozen at their desks, every one of them watching. 2 security guards appeared at the end of the hallway. They looked uncomfortable. They knew Kobe. Everyone knew Kobe. He was the man who knew your coffee order, the man who taped a birthday card to your monitor every year, the man who let you cry in the supply closet when your marriage fell apart and never told a soul. And now he was being walked out like a criminal. Kobe bent down slowly. When his knees cracked, he picked up his mop. He looked at the bucket on the floor, the water still spreading. He didn't pick it up. He just looked at it, like he was looking at everything he had given this building lying spilled on the floor. Then he straightened his back. He tucked the mop under his arm, and he walked toward the elevator. He didn't look at anyone. He didn't look back. He pressed the button. The doors opened. He stepped inside. And just before the doors closed, just for 1 second, he looked at the CEO. Not with anger, not with tears, with something quieter, something that made Marcus Harmon look away first. The doors closed, and Kobe was gone. But 6 months later, that elevator opened again, and what stepped out of it made Marcus Harmon's legs give way right there on the 12th floor, in front of everyone. If you're new here, this is Fate and Folktales, where every story carries a lesson, and fate never forgets. If you believe that the humble always rise and the proud always fall, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and stay close. Because this one is going to hit you like a freight train. To understand what happened on the 12th floor, you have to understand the man who made it happen, not the janitor, the CEO. Because this story starts with the villain, and the villain believed, with every fiber of his tailored suit, that he was the hero. Marcus Harmon was 44 years old, 6'2", jaw like a shelf, silver watch that cost more than most people's cars. He walked like a man who owned the ground beneath him, chin up, shoulders squared, footsteps that echoed like they were making a point. And he had been brought in 18 months ago as the new CEO of Greystone Partners, a mid-sized energy consulting firm headquartered in a glass tower on Louisiana Street in downtown Houston. The board hired him to modernize, to streamline, to turn a $60 million company into a $200 million company within 5 years. Marcus loved those words: modernize, streamline, optimize. They sounded clean, professional, forward-thinking. But what they really meant, what they always meant, was cut. Cut people, cut costs, cut anyone who didn't fit the image Marcus was building. He arrived at Greystone on a Monday in January. By Friday, and he had fired the receptionist who had been there for 19 years because she didn't represent the brand. He replaced her with a 24-year-old model who couldn't operate the phone system. By the end of the first month, he had eliminated the employee break room and converted it into a second conference room. "Break rooms encourage laziness," he said in an all-staff email. "Winners don't need breaks." By the end of the third month, he had fired 11 people, not based on performance, based on optics. The older employees went first, the ones who didn't dress like magazine covers, the ones who didn't laugh at his jokes in meetings, the ones who reminded him that this company existed before he did. But there was one person Marcus hadn't touched yet, one person who annoyed him every single morning simply by existing. Kobe. Kobe Owusu was invisible to most people in the way that air is invisible. You don't notice it until it's gone. He arrived at Greystone every morning at 4:45, before the lights, before the coffee machines, before anyone. He mopped the lobby floor until it shone like glass. He cleaned every bathroom until the tiles reflected your face. He emptied every trash can, replaced every paper towel roll, fixed the things maintenance was too slow to fix. The wobbly chair in Conference Room B, the flickering light on the 8th floor, the bathroom door on 14 that stuck every winter. He had been doing this for 25 years, since before the building had a glass facade, and since before Greystone Partners even existed, back when the company was called Houston Energy Group and the CEO was a man named Arthur Kelly who shook Kobe's hand every morning and called him the backbone of this building. Arthur was dead now. The company had changed names twice. CEOs had come and gone. But Kobe remained. Every employee knew him. Not just his name, his story. They knew he was from Kumasi. They knew he had come to America at 20 with nothing. They knew his wife, Adwoa, had died of cancer when their son was 7 years old. They knew he had raised that boy alone, working double shifts, mopping floors until midnight to pay for tutoring and school uniforms and college applications. They knew because Kobe talked to everyone. Not about himself. He asked about them, their kids, their problems, their promotions. And he remembered everything. When Sandra in accounting lost her mother, Kobe left flowers on her desk with a handwritten note. When James in IT was going through a divorce, Kobe brought him lunch for 2 weeks straight, jollof rice in a container he washed and refilled every day. When the intern on the 9th floor had a panic attack in the bathroom, Kobe sat outside the door and talked to her about the weather in Kumasi until she stopped shaking. He was the heartbeat of the building, and Marcus Harmon wanted to stop it. Not because Kobe did anything wrong, because Kobe represented everything Marcus despised: loyalty without leverage, kindness without agenda, presence without performance. Marcus looked at Kobe and saw a man who had spent 25 years pushing a mop and never asked for more. And to Marcus, that wasn't dedication. It was failure. "Why is there still a janitor on payroll?" Marcus asked his COO, Diane Fowler, during a budget review. "We have a contracted cleaning service." "Kobe predates the contract," Diane said carefully. "He's been here 25 years. He's part of the building, Marcus." "No one is part of a building. People are part of a budget. And he's a line item I don't need. The staff will not take it well. The staff will take what I give them." The next morning, a Tuesday, Marcus came to the 12th floor at 8:15. The entire floor was working. Kobe was at the end of the hallway, mopping near the conference room, his bucket beside him, his name tag on his chest. Marcus walked straight toward him. He didn't slow down. He didn't lower his voice. "Kobe." Kobe looked up. He leaned the mop against the wall. Good morning, Mr. Harmon. Your position has been eliminated, effective immediately. Security will escort you out." The floor went quiet. Keyboards stopped. Conversations died. 53 people held their breath. Kobe blinked. "I'm sorry. Eliminated? We've moved to a contracted cleaning service. Your role is redundant. HR will mail your final check." "Mr. Harmon, I've been here for 25... Marcus grabbed the mop bucket. He lifted it, water and all, and threw it down the hallway. It hit the wall. It cracked the plaster. Dirty gray water sprayed across the polished floor. 25 years of pushing a mop is not a career. It's a habit. Get your things. Get out." The entire floor watched. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Sandra in accounting had tears running down her face. James in IT was gripping the edge of his desk so hard his knuckles were white. Diane Fowler stood in her office doorway, jaw clenched, eyes burning. And Kobe, 61 years old, gray hair, worn hands, a man who had given this building everything, walked to the elevator with a mop under his arm and his dignity still on his back. That evening, 53 employees on the 12th floor went home and told their families what happened. And the story spread. Not on social media, not in the press. In the way real stories spread. Kitchen tables, phone calls, whispered outrage, slow-burning fury. But one person didn't hear the story that night. Not from the employees, not from the whispers. Kobe didn't tell his son. He went home. He made dinner. He sat at the kitchen table with his hands folded. When his son called that evening, like he did every Tuesday, Kobe talked about the weather, about the Rockets game, about the new jollof recipe he was trying. He didn't say a word about the bucket, the hallway, the 25 years thrown against a wall, because Kobe didn't want his son to worry, and because Kobe believed, the way only a man of deep, stubborn faith can believe, that what goes around comes around, that the universe keeps receipts, that patience is not passivity, it's precision. He was right, but he didn't know how right, because his son already knew. Not because someone told him, because Kojo Owusu had been watching Greystone Partners for 2 years, and what he was planning was bigger than a bucket in a hallway. Kojo Owusu was 34 years old, quiet, intense, built like his father, same broad shoulders, same patient eyes. But where Kobe built with mops and muscle, Kojo built with data and code. At 22, Kojo had started a data analytics company in a studio apartment in Austin, a company called Prism Analytics. He built the algorithms himself. He coded until 3 in the morning and slept on the office floor. He lived on rice and beans for 2 years. By 26, Prism had its first major client. By 28, revenue hit 10 million. By 30, it hit 50. By 34, the year Marcus Harmon threw his father's mop bucket against a wall, Prism Analytics was valued at $380 million. Kojo never talked about it publicly. No interviews, no Forbes profiles, no social media. He ran Prism like his father ran his shift, quietly, completely, without needing anyone to watch. But he watched. And he had been watching Greystone Partners since Marcus Harmon was hired. Not because of his father, at first, because Greystone was a potential acquisition target, an energy consulting firm with solid fundamentals, a loyal client base, and a CEO who was gutting it from the inside. Marcus Harmon was destroying the company's culture to inflate short-term margins, firing experienced employees, cutting institutional knowledge, replacing loyalty with fear. The stock was up, for now. But the foundation was rotting. Kojo could see it in the data. He had been building a quiet position, buying shares through shell companies, building relationships with board members, waiting for the right moment to make a move. And then, on a Tuesday evening, his phone rang. It was Diane Fowler. "Kojo, I'm sorry to call you directly, but you need to know what happened today." "What happened?" "He fired your father, in front of the entire 12th floor. He threw his mop bucket against the wall. He called security. He made him walk out like a criminal." Silence. "Kojo, are you there?" "I'm here." "Your father won't tell you himself. You know how he is. But I've watched that man clean this building with more care than most executives run their departments. And Marcus Harmon treated him like trash." Kojo was quiet for a long time. Then he said 5 words. "Schedule the board meeting." "Which one?" "The one where I walk through the door." What happened over the next 6 months was so quiet that Marcus Harmon never heard it coming. And by the time he did, it was already over. Kojo accelerated his acquisition plan. Through 3 shell entities, Prism Capital Holdings, Owusu Group LLC, and Coastal Ventures, he acquired 51% of Greystone Partners' outstanding shares. Each purchase was below the reporting threshold. Each entity was legally distinct. The SEC filings were perfect. Fifi Owusu, Kojo's attorney, made sure of that. By the 5th month, Kojo was the majority owner of Greystone Partners. He controlled the board. He controlled the votes. He controlled the future of every person in that glass tower on Louisiana Street, including Marcus Harmon. But Kojo didn't make a move. Not yet. He waited one more month. He wanted it to be a Tuesday, the same day of the week his father was fired. He wanted Marcus to feel the symmetry the way you feel a blade, only after it's already inside. And he wanted his father to be there. And Kobe didn't know. Not about Prism. Not about $380 million. Not about the shell companies or the board votes or the plan that had been unfolding around him like a blueprint he couldn't see. All Kobe knew was that his son called every Tuesday, that his son had a tech job in Austin, that his son was doing fine. He didn't know his son owned the building. On a Tuesday morning in June, Kojo called his father. "Dad, I need you to come to Houston today." "What for?" "I want to show you something. At your old building." Kobe paused. "I don't go there anymore, Kojo." "I know, but I need you to come. Trust me." Kobe was silent. Then, because he trusted his son the way he trusted sunrise, he said yes. Kojo sent a car. Black, tinted windows. A driver who called Kobe sir and opened the door for him. Kobe sat in the back seat in his best clothes. A pressed navy suit he wore to church, a white shirt, his good shoes. He didn't know why he was dressing up. Something in his son's voice told him to. The car pulled up to the glass tower on Louisiana Street. Kobe hadn't been here in 6 months. The building looked the same. The lobby he had mopped every morning for 25 years. The floor was duller now. He noticed immediately. The contracted cleaners didn't care the way he cared. Kojo met him in the lobby. Tall, broad-shouldered, patient eyes, his father's eyes, wearing a tailored black suit, no tie, a simple gold watch. He embraced his father, a long, tight embrace that said more than words. "Come with me," Kojo said. They walked to the elevator. Kojo pressed 12, the same floor, the same hallway. The doors opened. And Kobe stepped onto the 12th floor for the first time in 6 months. The hallway was the same polished floor, less polished now, the same fluorescent lights, the same conference room at the end. But something was different. People were standing, not at their desks, in the hallway, lining both sides. Sandra from accounting, James from IT, Diane Fowler, the intern from the 9th floor. 53 employees, the same 53 who had watched him walk out with a mop under his arm, were standing in 2 rows along the hallway, and they were clapping. It started with Sandra, a slow, deliberate clap. Then James joined, then Diane, then the intern, then everyone. The sound built, not like applause at a show, like a heartbeat returning, like a building remembering who its backbone was. Kobe stopped walking, and his eyes filled with tears. His hand reached out and found his son's arm. "What is this?" he whispered. "This is what you built, Dad. Not the floors, not the bathrooms. This." Kojo gestured at the people, the faces, the tears, the clapping that wouldn't stop. "You built loyalty, you built love. In a building full of people who were told that winning is everything, you showed them that kindness is more, and they never forgot." Kobe couldn't speak. He pressed his hand against his mouth. His shoulders shook. 25 years of showing up, 25 years of being invisible. And now, the hallway was full of people telling him they saw him the whole time. But the hallway wasn't empty. At the far end, standing outside the boardroom door, Marcus Harmon was watching. He didn't know what was happening. And he had seen the black car pull up. He had seen the meeting on his calendar. Special board session, mandatory attendance. He had assumed it was about the quarterly numbers. He did not know that the man walking toward him through a tunnel of applause was the janitor he had thrown away 6 months ago. And he did not know that the man beside the janitor, the tall one in the black suit, owned the building. Kojo walked his father through the applause. He walked him to the end of the hallway, to the boardroom door. Marcus stood there, jaw tight, eyes narrowed. He looked at Kobe, and something flickered across his face. Recognition, confusion, the first hairline crack in his armor. "What is this?" Marcus said. "Who authorized?" Kojo stepped forward. He extended his hand. "Mr. Harmon, my name is Kojo Owusu. I'm the new majority owner of Greystone Partners." Marcus looked at the hand. He didn't shake it. He looked at Kojo, then at Kobe, then back at Kojo. "Owusu," he repeated. "Yes, Kobe Owusu is my father." The crack spread. Marcus's face shifted, the jaw loosened. The silver watch on his wrist suddenly felt heavy. "I acquired 51% of this company's shares over the past 5 months," Kojo continued. His voice was calm, patient. His father's voice, the same tone, the same steadiness. "The board has been notified. The transition is effective immediately." Marcus's chest was rising and falling faster. "You can't just—" "I can. I did. And my first act as majority owner is a personnel decision." Kojo turned to face Marcus fully. They were the same height, the same build. But the energy was different. Marcus's power was borrowed. Kojo's was built. "6 months ago, you stood in this hallway. You threw a mop bucket against that wall." Kojo pointed. The crack in the plaster was still there. No one had fixed it. "You told a man who gave this building 25 years of his life that he was, and I'm quoting, a line item that should have been erased." Marcus opened his mouth. Nothing came out. "You called 25 years of dedication a habit. You called loyalty redundant. You made a 61-year-old man walk past every colleague he ever cared about, with security at his back, because you wanted to prove that you had the power to do it." Kojo paused. The hallway was silent. 53 people listening, every word landing like a nail being hammered home. "So here is your personnel decision. Mr. Harmon." Kojo reached into his jacket pocket. He pulled out a single sheet of paper. He held it out. "Your position has been eliminated. Effective immediately. Security will escort you out." Marcus's face went white. His mouth opened and closed. His eyes darted to the paper, his termination letter, then to the people in the hallway. The same people who had watched him throw the bucket. The same people who had watched Kobe walk out. Now, they were watching him. "You can't. I have a contract." "Your contract has a change of control clause. Section 14, paragraph 3. Upon majority ownership transfer, the incoming owner reserves the right to terminate executive positions without cause. Fifi Owusu, my attorney, reviewed it thoroughly. Your severance package is outlined on page 2. Marcus's hand was shaking. But he took the paper. He stared at it. The words blurred in front of his eyes. "Oh, and Mr. Harmon?" Marcus looked up. "Leave the watch. It was purchased with company funds. It belongs to Greystone." Marcus looked at his wrist. The silver watch. The one he wore like a crown. He unclasped it with trembling fingers. He placed it on the nearest desk. 2 security guards appeared at the end of the hallway. The same 2 guards who had walked Kobe out 6 months ago. They looked at Marcus. One of them gestured toward the elevator. "This way, sir." Marcus Harmon walked down the hallway, past Sandra, past James, past Diane, past the intern, past 53 faces that didn't look away this time. They watched him. Every step, every breath, every inch of the hallway he had once owned. He reached the elevator. He pressed the button, and the doors opened. He stepped inside. And just before the doors closed, he looked back, down the hallway, at Kojo standing beside Kobe, father and son, side by side. In the building Kobe had cleaned for 25 years and Kojo now owned. Marcus Harmon couldn't breathe. The doors closed, and he was gone. The 12th floor erupted, not with cheering, with something deeper. with the sound of people exhaling for the first time in 18 months. Sandra was crying. James was laughing. Diane Fowler walked up to Kobe and hugged him, and she was not a woman who hugged. "Welcome home, Kobe," she said. Kobe looked at his son. His eyes were full. His voice was barely a whisper. "You bought the building?" Kojo smiled. His father's smile, quiet, warm, real. "I bought the company." "Dad. Why didn't you tell me?" "Because you would have told me not to. You would have said forgiveness is better than revenge. You would have said to let it go." Kobe looked at his son for a long time. Then he looked at the hallway, at the people, at the crack in the wall where the bucket had hit. "I would have said that," he admitted, "and I would have been wrong." He pulled his son into an embrace. The hallway watched. The building watched. 25 years of invisible work, finally, unmistakably seen. 1 year later. Kobe Owusu was back at Greystone Partners, not as a janitor, as the Director of Facilities and Employee Well-Being, a position Kojo created specifically for him, an office on the 12th floor, a nameplate on the door. But every morning, every single morning, Kobe arrived at 4:45. I'm before the lights, before the coffee machines, and he mopped the lobby floor, not because he had to, because that's who he was. And this time, every person who walked across that floor knew exactly who had polished it. And they said good morning, every single time. The building was clean again, not just the floors, everything. Kobe Owusu never asked the world to notice him. He never demanded recognition. He never made a scene. He just showed up every morning for 25 years and cared about a building full of people who were too busy to care back. And when a man in a $3,000 suit tried to erase him, the building itself refused to let it happen. Not because of money, not because of power, because 53 people remembered every birthday card, every container of jollof rice, and every quiet conversation outside a bathroom door. That is the kind of wealth no CEO can fire and no contract can eliminate. If you want to see who fate visits next, subscribe and hit that notification bell. Because in these stories, the people who throw buckets always forget one thing. The floor remembers who kept it clean.
Años exactamente, bueno, no exactamente, ¿no? Un grupo de soñadores en La Paz decidió fundar algo que trascendería generaciones. El glorioso Club Bolívar. No imaginaron que... Oye, me he esforzado al hacer el discurso. ¿Qué ponen ZZ, chat? Basta, me he esforzado, se los juro que me he esforzado, bro, basta. Por favor, me he esforzado en el discurso, respétenme un poquito, chat. Bueno, igual lo voy a leer, me la chupan, la verdad. Chat, nefastos. Son unos envidiosos, ¿saben? Son unos envidiosos. ¿En qué me quedé? No imaginaron que ese nombre se convertiría en un sinónimo de grandeza, lucha y de orgullo nacional. 101 años después, Bolívar no es solo un club. Es un sentimiento que se hereda, que se sufre y se celebra. Últimamente sufrimos mucho por Robato, ¿no? Es el latido de miles de hinchas que en cada victoria y en cada caída nunca abandonan, ¿verdad? No más. Porque ser celeste no es una elección, es una forma de vivir. Muy bien, qué lindo, un aplauso. Bravo, bravo. Muchachos, tremendo discurso. Buenas noches, Edito, ¿cómo estás? Por lo menos ponte tu chompita, pues, un busito para leer el discurso. A ver, cállate, Gabo, ¿vos quieres ser baneado? Este discurso lo he hecho en mi cama, pensando en lo que es ser bolivarista, la verdad. Un aplauso, por favor, y con ayuda también del gran ChatGPT. Un aplauso para ChatGPT. ¿Cuál era la finalización de un ratito? Dice... que estos 101 años sean solo el comienzo de muchas más llenos de alegría. Felicidades, Academia. Felicidades, Bolívar. ¡Bravo! Aplausos para ChatGPT, muchachos. Para vos no, dice. Buenas noches, muchachos, ¿cómo están? Gracias por estar aquí, perdón por prender tan tarde. La verdad estaba viendo mi serie, estaba viendo el regreso de Justin Bieber. Bueno, toda la tarde me vi fútbol, hasta vi el partido del Tigre, vi el partido de River, vi el partido de Oriente, las declaraciones de Martins, tremendo lo de Martins, bebé, le tiró palo a Villegas, pero bien tirado. Huevada, en su cama lo hizo todo pajeado pensando en el... No, ¿qué dice este Arielito? Oye, ¿quiénes vamos, no? Mi sobrino de quién redacta mejor. Dile eso a ChatGPT, yo no he redactado. ¿Qué me estás molestando a mí? Felicidades. Qué pasado. Pues la verdad nomás. ¿Qué quieren que les diga? A ver, ¿qué les puedo decir, muchachos? Yo no publiqué nada en mi página, la verdad no hice nada estos días. Han sido momentos difíciles. Bien triste, ¿no? Mentira. Pero no, muchachos, bueno. Quiero felicitar a todos los que son bolivaristas y hoy en día más que nunca, ¿no? Que es difícil ser bolivarista en el sentido de todo el contexto que estamos pasando con el técnico. Pero si lo ven por el otro lado también hay que sentirnos orgullosos porque hemos llegado a estos 101 años. Creo que como la institución mejor parada, tanto económicamente, futbolísticamente y dirigencialmente diría, pero no, creo que no, ahí nos falta, ¿no? Ese eslabón para poder ser una institución sólida. Y como ayer creo que lo decía Dardo Gómez en su publicación en el Cholet, que Dios mío, ¿de dónde cagan tanta plata, bebés? Más fuegos pirotécnicos que en el aniversario de La Paz, no mames. Tremendo, felicidades a los del Cholet, y a ver si pasan pues algunos moneys. No mentira. Que dijo que el dirigente tiene que estar siempre al lado del hincha, y eso es mucha verdad, y no es por darle palo a Claure, porque él tendrá sus funciones, las cosas que tiene que hacer, pero creo que por esa parte que estoy... Uy, ¿qué? No, todavía no va a arrancar la fiesta, Tucán, tranquilo. y por esa parte creo que está bien, ¿no? Está bien, y bueno, se vienen unas futuras elecciones, donde el principal candidato es Dardo Gómez, a seguir manejando lo que es este club tan bonito que es Bolívar, ¿no? Por detrás, obviamente, yo creo que tiene que haber gente que lo asesore. Espera, ¿mi gatita se echó pipí? No, ya, más bien. Me ha asustado, chicos, la verdad, me ha asustado. Ya saben ustedes, rayada está mi gatita últimamente, ¿no? No, ¿qué dice este Edipox? Y bueno, muchachos, nos espera, creo, un futuro grandioso. Yo lo dije, creo que esta es una oportunidad ya con el estadio de una vez establecernos como un club de fútbol, pero serio, y fuera de ser autosostenible, que se proyecte a más, ¿me entiendes? No estancarnos en solo ser un club boliviano, sino ya empezar a soñar con, no sé, a ver, por ejemplo, la venta de butacas en el estadio, venta de marketing, merchandising, que se vaya ampliando más las sociedades, ¿me entienden? O sea, yo creo que si una cabeza maneja bien todo eso, creo que podemos despegar, ¿me entiendes? Y no estar ahí creando leyes de mierda con el gobierno, pidiendo perdón para que nos perdonen los impuestos, ¿no? Los gatos, ¿no? Entonces, creo que, o ser un club que está a punto de desaparecer, como Wilstermann, que desapareció de la liga, pero está a punto de desaparecer, pero absolutamente de todo el fútbol. O ser clubes que le están mangueando el auspicio a la UTV y chupándosela al presidente de la federación por subsistir. Entonces, creo que Bolívar es muy grande y tiene, creo que, trascender. Eso es lo que nos falta, trascender, dar ese pasito para trascender y lograr los objetivos que siempre hemos querido, ya sea una Copa Sudamericana o una Copa Libertadores, ¿no? Y siempre tiene que ir de la mano. Estos últimos años, creo que es la verdad, se han ido alejando a las generaciones bolivaristas, al hincha común, al hincha fanático, a todos los tipos de hinchas se han ido alejando del club, por justamente el mal trabajo que se ha ido realizando estos últimos años en Bolívar. ¿Qué decía Valdivia? Creo que dijo que dejó un club autosostenible. O sea, sí, no vamos a decir que no. Económicamente creo que se dejó un club autosostenible. A ver, Solís, no pidas Gartic, ya les he dicho qué cosa de Gartic. Hoy día es aniversario del club, déjame hablar a ver de mi club, Solís. Igual en el grupo de WhatsApp, no, Tucán, jugaremos Gartic. No quiero dibujar huevadas, déjame, no voy a jugar Gartic. Ya les he dicho, si quieren dibujar, agarren un cuadernito y empiezan a dibujar sus huevadas. No me vengan a molestar a mí con su Gartic. Saludos, Reyisita, ¿cómo estás? ¿Todo bien? Gartic, temática Bolívar. No, métanse su Gartic por el poto, ya les he dicho. Y bueno, muchachos, ¿en qué estaba? Es que me enerva, muchachos, cada vez Gartic, basta, no quiero jugar Gartic, vayan a jugar Gartic con sus minas. Goklingo, huevadas hablas, ya, espera, que qué habla este Ignacio Loza, este Auri. Y bueno, muchachos, creo que sí, yo me quedo con eso. Este martes tenemos un partido muy importante en lo económico. Para mí, muy importante para ver qué está el club de cara a este año, porque creo que es indispensable ganarle a ese equipo. En Copa Libertadores, obviamente por los 3 puntos y más. Pero pensando a futuro, creo que es muy importante que se vea buen fútbol, ¿no? Y que la gente ya esté un poquito más tranquila con el funcionamiento del equipo. Ayer contra Bebé, bueno, el día sábado contra Bebé, se jugó un buen partido, no digo que un malo partido. Creo que empezaron a aparecer personas, o bueno, jugadores que no estaban apareciendo, como es el Papu Velázquez y muchos más, ¿no? Entonces, interesante. Y bueno, apareció Cauterucho, que en el partido de Libertadores no había aparecido ni de sombra. Parece que Cauterucho solo le mete goles a equipos como ABB. Y preocupa un poquito eso, ¿no? Hoy ganó el Tigre, está puntero con nosotros. Nacional Potosí también está compartiendo la punta con nosotros y muchos más que vienen bien entonándose en lo que es este torneo, ¿no? Que empezó retardísimo y creo que nos va a pesar no solo a nosotros, sino a los demás equipos que están participando en copas internacionales, ya sea Blooming el caso, ¿no? Y otros más. Mete gol equipo chicos como Dorniro, pero Dorni ni jugó. ¿Qué dicen, chicos? ¿Qué dicen? La era Robato es la peor de todos los tiempos, bebé, tomando en cuenta el centenario que es una vez en la vida. Sí, es la peor. De los últimos 10 años, ¿se podría decir que lo de Robato es lo peor que nos pudo pasar? A ver, piensen. Es que con lo que me dice el técnico de... A ver, ustedes pónganse a pensar, si tu técnico te dice que el objetivo era solo clasificar a Libertadores y que no estaba obligado a ser campeón, puta, ahí me la bajó mal, amigos, sinceramente, me la bajó mal. Podía aceptarle todas sus huevadas y todo, pero cuando dijo eso, es como que hizo sentir me hizo sentir un club más del montón, ¿me entiendes? Un Nacional Potosí, una Aurora, no sé, otros equipos bien X. Así me hizo sentir, la verdad. Por eso yo vuelvo a repetir, yo voy a hablar de lo que veo en la cancha y este martes si es que Bolívar gana se va a aplaudir y si es que Bolívar pierde, bueno, también se va a criticar algunas cosas y si han fallado algunas cosas igual vamos a criticarlas, vamos a observarlas y vamos a dar nuestro criterio. Pero fuera de eso,